Hey, I'm B-Movie Ben, and you're watching Grave Robber Reviews. Today we're talking about the Amityville Horror from 1979, starring our good friend James Brolin, Margaret Kidder, and Bob. Today we're looking at the Amityville Horror from 1979, starring James Brolin, Josh Brolin's father, and Margaret Kidder. The movie is loosely based on the true events that took place at the Amityville Horror in the 1970s. Basically what happened is, if you don't already know and you haven't seen these movies before, a guy in his early 20s murdered his parents and all of his siblings and then was imprisoned. And then the Lutz family moved into the house and reported ghostly phenomena. I'll be honest, I heard good things before I watched this movie, but I wasn't expecting much. I was kind of thinking it was going to be a bit of an Exorcist ripoff. Not necessarily a ripoff, but it was going to borrow a lot from that. It was going to borrow from a lot of other films at the time. But what I found was a movie that I actually really enjoyed. And I find that the IMDb rating is insultingly low. Yeah, just look at that. That's disgusting. This movie is way more deserving of a higher rating. To be perfectly honest, I urge people to seek this movie out. In my opinion, it is a horror classic. I was genuinely frightened at some points, and that takes a lot. I am pretty well seasoned in the horror genre. If you take a look behind me, this entire shelf is my horror section. I love horror movies, and it takes a lot for anything really to get under my skin. I think really the only thing that affects me now is body horror, but because that's something I can relate to. Ghost films, slasher films, anything of that sort, they don't really do it for me anymore. Sure, I still have fun watching them, but I don't get chills like I used to when I was a kid. And I genuinely had moments where I was shivering watching the Amityville Horror. The performances are amazing. James Brolin's performance is genuinely chilling. His descent into madness is frightening, to say the least. You really kind of care about his family. It makes the last 20 minutes of this movie that much more intense because, one, you like the characters and you want to see them get out of it okay, and you also want to see James get back to himself. I want to give a quick shout out to some of the screams in the movie, because this movie has 3 or 4 fantastic screams that'll just shake you to your core. It's pretty good. I also want to talk about the cinematography, because it's beautiful. There's lots of use of lines of force, frames within frames, creating shapes with shadows and objects in the house. It's really quite amazing, and there's one scene that really sticks out to me. It's a particular moment at a lake where it cuts to a wide shot of the lake and the tree line in the background, and the sun is shining through the trees, and then there's like a layer of pollen and dust, I'm assuming, and the sun shines through that too, and it glints off the lake, and it's beautiful. It really is beautiful. One thing I really liked about this movie that I think is a really common complaint in these kind of horror movies is get the fuck out of the house. And something that this movie does really well is that there's nothing that's really get the fuck out of the house until the end. Leading up to it, it's a lot of things that you could explain normally, like a windowsill falling or doors closing on their own. You know, oh, it's the wind, or it's a loose hinge or something. You know, if you're a rational person, your mind wouldn't jump to, it's ghosts. And I think that makes the movie scarier in the long run, because when crazy shit does start happening near the end of the movie, it feels like it's naturally built up to that. Last 2 things I want to mention. Score's pretty chilling. I liked it. Helped set the mood of the movie. And I think the climax was a little lacking. They could have gone a little more all out with that. Overall, I really liked this movie. I'm really kind of strapped to think of critiques for it. I mean, maybe it's generic. Maybe it's hurt by its sequels. But I really did love this movie. I'm tempted to give it a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Obviously, it takes time to think about these, and I watched this for the first time last night. So, as of right now, I'm going to give Amityville Horror an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching this episode of Grave Robber Reviews. I'm B-Movie Ben, and hopefully you'll join me next time.